creative exercises for using a metronome. So let's get going.
Welcome to Jazz Guitar Lessons, where we help guitarists learn jazz faster, express themselves more fluently, and have fun along the way. My name is Mark, and if you're looking to learn jazz, form better practice habits, and especially if you enjoy a French accent, make sure to subscribe.
All right, welcome to the podcast. Glad to have you here. The metronome, amongst other tools for practicing, is one of my favorites. You might have heard about this in several YouTube videos I shot over the years. It's a great practice tool to improve your sense of time and for, of course, nailing down the jazz rhythms that you're working on. So what I want to do today is give you a few of the best pointers I can in terms of starting to use a metronome for jazz improvisation and comping, mostly for playing standards, but also to see how you can take what you have and take it a bit further if you've been using the metronome. Also, we'll talk about, avoiding the most common pitfalls. This is a podcast. I don't want to, sit here and overwhelm you and speak for, 45 minutes about different things, different crazy things you might want to do, New York style with your metronome and have your metronome click on every fifth, 16th note of every bar of 5/8. Like, I don't want to do that. I just want to give you the bulk, the crux of how it is to practice with a metronome. So I have my phone right here, and I use an app. Typically, I will recommend, if you're serious about practicing with a metronome, get a quartz one with a dial, with a round dial. They're the best. And they have these subdivisions that basically come from the classical era. Lowest tempo is 40 beats per minute, and then it goes to 40, 40, does it go to 42? Yeah, 42, 44, etc. And then 60, 63. There's a whole science behind why you're not actually playing at 41 BPM in terms of classical music, but it doesn't really matter for us. Actually, here's my excuse, because there's always something going wrong. In podcast, my battery, my 9-volt is dead on my dial metronome. So I'm going to use this app. I'm not affiliated. It's called Guitar Tuna, as in tuna, the fish, tuna fish. And it's actually a tuner, right, for mandolin and guitar and whatever. But there's a metronome tool with it. So how people would practice with a metronome, if you've taken lessons as a kid, probably your teacher would have said, practice with a metronome to play the right rhythms, and it would sound something like this, right? That was very faint, sorry. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That's the normal way to have the one accented, and then you set your metronome to 4/4, and that's that. So if we played, Autumn Leaves, we play 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, right? And that's the first thing I want to cover in this podcast is, guys, you should avoid or at least try to move away from that method of practicing with a tempo, with a practice tool. And here's a reason. This is spoon feeding you the time. It's spoon feeding you exactly where beat 1 happens. It's feeding you all the strong beats of the bar, which are 1 and 3, and the 2 other weak beats, 2 and 4. The classic way of practicing jazz with a metronome is using it as 2 and 4 of every bar. And this is a pretty simple exercise. If you're not used to any of this, this is where you should start. By the way, I filmed a video, might have been 7 or 8 years ago, on YouTube on how to use a metronome on 2 and 4. So, by the way, this tempo was 104. So what you're going to do is 2 things. You're going to take this down to 52, which is half, and you're going to set it so that there is no subdivision. So basically, you're setting your metronome in 1/4 or in 0/4, so that every click is the same click, like this. So this is 52. And what we say, we'll play Autumn Leaves at a tempo of 104, but actually the metronome is clicking only on every 2 and 4 of the bar. This does not mean that we have to play on beat 2 and 4. It's just that's the time. I will count yourself in now, count the tune in, and you'll notice this is what the hi-hat of the drummer does in a jazz style. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Get it? 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Still playing Autumn Leaves, by the way. 2, 3, 4, 1. If you played 4 on the floor, you go. But notice how now the metronome is giving you only half of the information you had previously from a classical standpoint of practicing with a metronome. And I will play the melody just to give you a little bit of a pointer. So remember, this is clicking at 52, but we're actually playing at a tempo of 104 beats per minute. A 1, 2, a 1. It's pretty, it sounds easier than it is at first. I know I have suffered through this when I was much younger, when I had to, really pay attention to what's happening. What's going to happen is you will try to do this while playing the simple melody of a song or playing the chords of a song, and you will get lost, as in the clicks will no longer be happening on beats 2 and 4 of your performance. It is your job actually to know where beat 1 is and where beat 3 is, so your downbeats are not spoon-fed to you. There's 2 clicks every 4 beats. So you could say it's clicking half of the time if you're considering, you're considering your quarter notes to be the time where your bass is this. So check this out. A 1, 2, 3, 4 Autumn Leaves. This is what the bassist would do. So those are quarter notes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, it's hard to teach talk at the same time as playing time. So the bass player would do a walking bass like this, and you would hear this chick, 1, chick, 2, chick. That's the drummer's hi-hat. Okay. So I've been like about 5 minutes on this, so I will give you a demo of how it could sound in context. So say I crank this up to, I will put the metronome at 72, and I will improvise a little bit on B-flat blues. And 72 on the metronome here means we are actually thinking of a tempo that's 144. That's double of 72, right? So actual BPM is 144, and metronome is clicking half the time. So blues, B-flat, ready? 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. Something like that. So you see that this, if you're new to metronome exercises, this is really your next exercise, especially if you're always only using backing tracks or playing along with records. Now you are responsible for holding a lot of the times. Like, it's all in your hands because no one is telling you what chords are happening. No one's telling you which beats you're on. And this is I would say some sort of a mental gymnastics. It's like meditating, if you want. And after you get the hang of it, it gets really boring. So then you can, of course, crank it up. You can put it much faster or much slower and see how you hold your own. And I recommend you do this on songs you're super familiar with. You don't do this on things you're just learning. Blues is second nature to most of us. And that's why I use blues to demonstrate these things. So we could, I don't want to take too much time on this actually, but what if I put it at 92? So 92 is an actual BPM of 84. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can really learn to cook. And if you're able to do this, it means you're going to be pretty solid on your feet when you get to a jam session, you get to a recording session, you get to a gig, because you don't need anyone to sort of, babysit you the time. You are strong your own. You're like, okay, I got it, guys. Because that's what's going to happen. You've been there, I've been there, you solo, everything's going well, and then all of a sudden you raise your head up and go, what? It's like, whoops. We're not in the same place. The drummer is not at the same place as me and the bassist, and what happened? So metronome exercises like this at all tempos can really make you cook, and you can learn to do this several ways.
Hey guys, just a quick note. If you're enjoying this content and you're eager to boost your own jazz guitar playing, then connect with us. We've transformed the jazz skills of thousands of guitarists. You can find a link in the description or head directly over to jazzguitarlessons.net to begin your journey. All right, let's dive back into the episode.
There you go. I want to address another thing that's really useful that I talked about in some YouTube videos, which is playing fast with the metronome not on 2 and 4. And here's the problem with metronome on 2 and 4. If I want to play 220, say, so I put my metronome at 110, and this is a click. It's pretty darn fast. It's a lot of clicking for no reason, I would say. So it's like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like ding, 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 ding. So the trick for this is, instead of talking, and I'm going to do it a tad slower actually, so just 100. So our target is 200. The trick, and I got that from Frank Lozano, is put your metronome, if you want to play at 200, don't put your metronome at 100. Put it half of that. And the result will be you can use it as 2 and 4 of your half tempo. And that's a really neat trick, and it sounds weird when I say it, but you're totally going to get it. It simply is, you're going to wind up with your metronome on beat 3 of every bar 4/4. But this works really well on fast tempos because 3 is actually your downbeat. So check this out. And this is how you would count it in. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So it's giving you even more responsibility for your tempo, meaning that instead of clicking on 2 and 4, it's clicking on 3 only. And you notice how two things, when I counted it in, I counted 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 and 4 of the half time translates to beat 3 of the actual time. And that gives you room to play in the halftime and to feel really loose at those faster tempos. That's totally a Frank Lozano trick. Thanks, Frank. If you're listening to this, you're probably not, but Frank was one of my mentors, and we played recently, and it's awesome the way he plays. Famous tenor sax from Montreal and Ottawa. Check this out. So if you want to play loose, that's how you think of it. B flat blues again. 1, 2, a 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Tink it. So you still have this ting 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 chicka-ding chicka-ding ding do ba da ba da ba da ba ba do ba da do ba ba da ba da do eights, then ting ta ba boo ba do ba ba doom ba ding da. It's like playing the halftime. So if you can really feel both at the same time, and that I know that's a bit esoteric what I've just done, but that's if you're confident with your 2 and 4, this is totally your next step. This is seriously your next step in the direction of mastering time, because then your click is 50 and you are feeling the 100 that's in between, and you're feeling the real 200, the ta 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 ti 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 ti. So it's really really a neat little exercise. All right, let's switch gear a little bit because we've been talking about this. So I just want to emphasize playing with beat on 2 and 4, and then playing that way, the 2 and 4 is the halftime, is your entry point. It is not the end all. Yeah, how would you say in English? You know, I'm French Canadian. It's not the cure all end all remedy for all your time issues, but it's a great place to start, because people will tell you, well, you know, play every bar 4/4 with the beat on every beat 2 is clicking. All right, that's a good one. For me, it's difficult to start there if you haven't mastered the 2 and 4, and then the 2 and 4 of the halftime. Let's talk about you could also you could have a click happening only once every 2 bars, and that's a gear switching I want to do that in a way I'm a bit scared to demonstrate. So I'll just tell you what it is, because I'm not afraid to say this. I'm not courageous enough to try this in a podcast. So here's the thing. My friends that studied in New York gave me this exercise. The click is 40. And they will say, well, imagine 40 subdivided in 5 equal pieces, and those 5 pieces are the quarter notes, meaning that it will click on beat 1 of the bar, and then it will click on beat 2 of the second bar, and then it will click on beat 3 of the third bar, and beat 4 of the fourth bar. I'm gonna sing it, but I'm not gonna play it. All right. So here we have 40. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a cycle of 5 bars with a beat, a click that is migrating through the bar. That's really interesting, but imagine, and that's 40, so 45, that's 200 actual BPM. Imagine if you're strong enough to improvise on B-flat blues and you never miss that beat. You already know where you are. It means that for the span of 5 beats, you are responsible, except that hit point. It's like a checkpoint with your time. And if you can do that and improvise at the same time and comp and play standards and whatever, you're in business. I mean, I could try to pull it off, but it's not something I worked a lot on, and it's a really good one. When I meant changing gears, I was thinking that maybe we could do a little bit of 3/4. I have this question from students a lot. They go, how do you use your metronome when you want to do 3/4? Well, you could use your metronome on 2 and 4 and then just count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, something like a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. That's one way to do it. I don't really like that. So what I would do is simply go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. That's a bit fast, sorry. Let me go down to 58, actually. So you just say it's a bar 4/4. How about we have a click every bar, so it's on beat 1. So I will play, hey, let's do all the things you are, actually. All right, 1, 2, 3, 1. I know all the things in 3, right? One of my favorite things to do. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, get through. So that was a course of all the things, and every beat one has a click. Now you could say, well, you could move that click to every eighth note in the bar, every triplet, whatever, but I would say your best place to start, say, what if that click is beat 2? 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 2, 3, 1, 2. So I dropped it a little bit. And then, of course, on beat 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, trying to once again trying to teach and count and do these things is really challenging, but that's a framework you can use. It's a great starting point. By no means it's the end of the journey, but that's good to help it to vary. And once you get really good at the downbeats, and that's another courageous thing I'm not willing to do in the podcast, you can set your metronome on what if it clicks on the end of beat 3, on the and, 3 and, 1 and 2 and 3 and every bar has that click at one place. And then you can say, what if it clicks only every 2 bars, every other bar, as we've discussed with the click on 3 or click on every other bar of 3. So there's always ways to get down to using the metronome more creatively like this. We're already over 20 minutes into the podcast. I want to wrap it up with certain exercises that are crazier, and I will start with the less crazy of the two. One of the ways to practice integrating double time, to me, is really to be playing slowly and to force yourself to hear these double times line in conjunction, so simultaneously as these regular time lines. So I will do this. I'll put my metronome at 40 and say that this is a B-flat blues at 80 BPM. So it's a pretty darn slow blues, but I will just play the scales, and you can see this on a website called the Barry Harris Framework for playing scales up to 7. So you go, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. And this is the basic framework. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. E flat. Then here there's a little trick. Then just the F. So no big deal. We're playing B-flat blues. We're playing eighth note scales over the changes. No mystery. You're a jazz guy. If you're listening to this podcast, you understand improvisation and such. And that's not a mystery. What I'd like to do in this context is, what if you superimpose double timelines with the same scales? And that's a great place to start, because you don't have to worry about fingerings. You already know your scales. You don't have to worry too much about what's chords and scales are coming in the song, because it's just blues. And as you did listen, I only use 3 scales. I use the B flat, the E flat, and the F, and they're all Mixolydian scales. So they're not crazy altered or whatever. There was just that one exception where I landed on B natural instead of B flat. And that's with regards to the chord. That's G7, that happens bar 8. You can find a lot of stuff about this on the blog, by the way, on jazzguitarlessons.net. So what I would want to do is see if I can play the same scales, but twice as fast. So it will mean that sometimes I'll have the time to go up and down. So for my bar 1 with the B-flat blues, I only had time to do this. A 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 bars over. I have to move to the next scale, and I only went up. I climbed up, but now 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to 8 notes. Again, 8 notes. Watch out, I'm landing on B natural double time. And then once that's really ingrained, you can see if you can start to solo and go dig it, dig it, dig it, dig it, dig it, dig it, dig it. So what's interesting is, a bar of 16th notes, it has 16 16th notes in a regular bar of 4/4, and yet your click is only clicking twice. So you have to be really solid with your subdivision of time, naturally, for this to sound good. So let's, I'll try to solo a little bit to give you an idea how the double timelines can fall. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, that was rushed. Something like that. So you see your teacher now is not in the greatest time shape. Plus this is those I'm just making up excuses. I know it sounds bad. My nylon string, my metronome. Anyways, so you see, I apologize. In the moment I was like, oh, that felt a bit rushed. And that's exactly what the exercise about is. You use the metronome as a tool to see, like now, if you want to improvise with 8 notes, 8 notes are really common in jazz. That's one thing. But now if you double this up, and your metronome keeps clicking slow, especially at this type of slow blues. Remember, the metronome was clicking at 40. Then you're actually playing darts with the timing, which means it's more challenging slowly because you can't really fudge it. You can't. It has to be the subdivision, or else it becomes apparent. Either your picking technique is off, or you're missing a change, or you're not playing the right scale. So this is the less esoteric of the esoteric things I wanted to tell you. It's like you can develop your own little routines and I would say workouts. It's like a workout. You're working out your muscle time. You can do this to practice double timelines, and you can do this in several ways with the metronome. The last thing I want to address, and I will not demonstrate it here, is meditative rhythms. And it's just a fancy term for saying you put your metronome at a certain click and you subdivide it. I start with open strings. Personally, I just go, this is my G string, and I will attempt to be exactly on par with the click, playing exactly with it every one click. And then later on, screensaver. This means I've been talking for too long, by the way. And then after one click is easy, you go to 2 clicks. So you click once, but you subdivide 2, meaning you pick twice for every subdivision. It has to be equal subdivisions. And then you go to 3 and 4 and 5. And there's a great blog and YouTube video about this. This is one of the exercises, one of the few ones I give all my students, all my private students. And it's a rite of passage. Like you have to tackle this and then realize, we're clicking now. That single click, I'm subdividing it 5 times equally over an open string. And then you're like, okay, now I want to jump back to 2 subdivisions. and you're screwed because you don't know if you'll be able to do it. So you fall back on your 2 subdivisions and you rush, or you're too slow, you're too fast, and you're playing darts with the time once again. And then you establish your 2 firmly, you try to jump between 2 and 5, and then jump between 3 and 5, and then jump between 7 and 4, and jump between 9 and 2. All these things happen and make your time much stronger. However, these are not in the timing. They're not in 4/4, they're not in 3/4, they're not on a standard. And when you get really good with that, you can start to play more than an open string. You can start to play around scales. You can start to see if you can improvise freely, if you can improvise within a scale or a chord. Then if you're brave, you can do that on a standard. But check it out on YouTube. Meditative Rhythms is on the jazzguitarlessons.net channel. So that's all I have. Thanks for being with me today in this podcast. I reiterate what I say every time I record a podcast. This is by far my favorite way of getting stuff across to you. And it's not because I'm trying to hide my face behind a microphone, but I really love this format. Please do let me know if you have any sorts of questions, feedback, comments. You can do this below, if you have a comment form below this podcast right here on the website or wherever you're listening to this. And I want to tell you, I'm very happy to take requests because, we're up to podcast 41. And if you want to send me directly an email, mark@jazzguitarlessons.net, it'll be a pleasure to see if we can cover whichever lesson topic you want me to dig deeper on. All right. So once again, my name is Mark from Jazz Guitar Lessons. Improve your jazz guitar playing with a real teacher. And I will see you in the next podcast. Take care.